What's going on, Imperials? It's Emperor Cubone here. Few things are more exciting than when you happen to stumble across a shiny Pokémon. It can sneak up on you when you least expect it, or you can finally meet one as a reward for all your hard work in hunting it down. But as with most things about Pokémon, people have taken issue with shinies recently being easier to encounter than ever before with better odds, and plenty of ways to improve them further in your favor. But I'm not sure that makes them any less special. In fact, there are some shiny Pokémon that you can always find that can be just as satisfying as a random one out in the wild. So let's not only look at every single guaranteed shiny Pokémon, but also rank them and how easy they are to obtain. So first of all, everybody knows about the red Gyarados. I mean, it's in the thumbnail after all, but this was pretty much the poster child for shiny Pokémon when they were first introduced in Gen 2. Through the course of the story, you'll wind up at the Lake of Rage, and you have to either catch or defeat it before you can move on, letting you know that shiny Pokémon were even possible, and making you really regret knocking out that weirdly colored Spearow you saw a few hours back. But as far as ease of access goes, this has got to be the most common shiny Pokémon in existence, both in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, as well as in the remakes Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So it's not uncommon to see multiple red Gyarados in a single game when you can transfer so many over. That's not to say that it's bad, it's just the easiest shiny that you'll ever find, even if you've never played through a Johto game. However, not far behind that is the recent game Legends Arceus, when upon receiving a quest from a townsperson to investigate a strange Ponyta, the description does indeed lead you through the Obsidian Fieldlands to find a shiny Ponyta. The blue-colored flames look incredible, and the manual evolution really helped me out because I did not want it to shift to the gray in Rapidash. Now, it is probably actually easier to catch a Ponyta than a Gyarados, especially when you can throw food at it and such, but the fact that it's only in one game that is far more recent and has sold much less compared to all of the Johto games combined, not to mention the Pokemon Home situation, means that this guaranteed shiny is overall a little bit less common. But if you do pick up Pokemon Legends, it's going to be a pretty easy catch. And that's on top of the other random shinies that you'll be finding all throughout that game. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Drifloon on this list here too, because I've caught like 6 shiny ones alone without even really trying. Now, there's not much more in the way of official in-game shiny Pokemon on offer, however, there are other guaranteed Pokemon to exist in franchise history, largely stemming from event distributions. If you were able to take part in these events, they would 100% give you a free shiny Pokemon just by connecting to the internet. I'm going to go ahead and say that the easiest of all of these was the shiny Beldum distribution that happened with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. This was like the Torchic gift before, but this one was shiny, so you could show Steven what a real Mega Metagross looks like. All you had to do was get the game in the first few months of its release, and then you could download it for free. So even though it's no longer available, you could potentially still find one from a generous friend who has one lying around. Whereas these other events had a much more specific and narrow window of time for you to snag them. Such events included the legendary beasts through various countries across 2010 and 2011 to promote the new Zoroark movie, since it transforms into them throughout the film, so I guess they thought sending those out to fans all over the world would be some great publicity. And it was! They also provided the Shiny Creation Trio in 2015 through a distribution, as well as a Shiny Rayquaza that same year, which is honestly one of the best shinies out there, so that is much appreciated. There have also been many more largely legendary Pokemon, such as Mewtwo, Solgaleo and Lunala, Xerneas, Yveltal and Zygarde, Celebi, Poipole, Silvally, Zeraora, not to mention all of the Tapus at some point or another, and they do look pretty good in their all-black tie formal wear, and even more like Zacian and Zamazenta with Eternatus, and all of the Galarian legendary birds in their shiny forms as well, so given time I'm sure we'll see the Paldean legends get this treatment, since sadly like most of the Pokemon on this list, they have been shiny locked in the actual games. But those are not the only ones out there, because several other common Pokemon have been handed out as shinies, such as Pikachu, Charizard, Gengar, Milotic, Clefairy, Mimikyu, and even a humble Zigzagoon way back in the days of Generation 3. Also, I wanted to specifically highlight the shiny Pichu, called the Pikachu-colored Pichu for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because that shiny event Pokemon is the only way to obtain the spiky-eared Pichu when you take it to the Ilex Forest. So this one is a bit more valuable than the others. Now, it is worth noting that all of these Pokémon that I just mentioned were internationally released, but there have been other shiny Pokémon distributions that are not global and were in select markets only, which would obviously make it harder to find Eevee, Magikarp, Gastrodon, Amoonguss, Toxtricity, Machamp, Krabby, Gardevoir, Tyranitar, and a separate Larvitar, a Mamoswine, and even Metagross. Also providing some legendaries like Ho-Oh, Kyogre, Groudon, Jirachi, Arceus, Diancie, Genesect, and Necrozma. There was also a movie tie-in shiny Golurk and Hydreigon that actually appeared in the different versions of the movie, so that was really cool. I also wanted to point out the awesome instance of the Year of the Dragon in Japan that they did in 2012, because they distributed shiny gifts for Dino, Bagon, Trapinch, Horsey, Swablu, and even Druddigon. They really ought to do that for more Zodiac signs, it would be amazing. But while those are guaranteed if you could have gotten them at the time, they are of course rarer now. However, there are still some surefire shiny Pokémon that I would say are a bit harder to get, those being from Black and White 2. The sequels to the Gen 5 games are notable for a number of reasons, but when I found out that there were dragons that would always be shiny, I was hooked. Depending on the version, you'll get either a shiny Dratini or a shiny Gible. So an absolutely guaranteed shiny pseudo-legendary is a pretty great deal. But the reason that they're higher on the list than those distributions is because it's not just handed to you like a starter, you've gotta work for it. The only way to get these special treats is to battle all the way through the Black Tower or the White Tree Hollow, all 10 levels of it, and then beat Alder's grandson Benga to get a hold of the prize. But of course, those battle facilities only open up once you beat the Elite Four, so you have to play through the whole game to get the guaranteed shiny. So that is a bit more of a slog to get through. Did that deter me from doing it multiple times for each one? Not at all, because I knew that there would always be a shiny Pokémon waiting for me with my hard work, while I got to train up an entirely new team at the same time. Sounds like a win-win to me. I do kind of prefer the look of shiny Gible, but Garchomp quickly loses that crown for being far too similar to the original coloring, whereas Dratini goes from a nice pink to an odd shade of green. But hey, they're always gonna be there no matter what, and I did use one to trade to a friend to get one of their mythical Pokémon. But there is one more guaranteed shiny Pokémon out there, and actually we don't have to go far because it's also in Black and White 2, also requiring you to beat the game first. This time, you can encounter a shiny Haxorus. Not even bothering with the cute base stage, this thing is already fully evolved. But why do you have to wait on this one too? Well, that's the thing. In order to unlock this treasure, you have to complete the entire Pokédex. Okay, not the entire thing, you can leave out the event-exclusive mythicals, but you still need to collect all of the past legendary Pokémon to pull it off, and that's why this Haxorus is to me the most difficult static shiny encounter, because you can work as hard as you want on your own version, but at some point you will be required to reach out for help, as there are version exclusives and plenty of past Pokémon that you could only get through outside means. So the fact that you'll need extensive help in order to get this one, not to mention needing to have already completed several previous games, means that even though this Pokémon is guaranteed to be shiny, it is by far the hardest to get. And realistically, you would probably run into at least one or two other random shinies over the course of trying to fill out 5 generations of the Pokédex, so this may not be the most efficient shiny hunt out there that you could do, but knowing that the outcome is predetermined, and even the possibility of collecting more along the way, makes this one of the greatest value propositions in all of Pokémon, even if it is quite a lot of work to reach. So those are the guaranteed shiny Pokémon that we've seen to date. However, we're not done, because there are some other Pokémon that will always be shiny that are even harder to get, because you can't. That's right, even worse than the random shiny before you even get Pokéballs are the shiny Pokémon that you know will be there but can never attain. Starting with Fire Red and Leaf Green in the Trainer Tower, where a trainer will always have a shiny Espeon every time you fight them. Which I don't really blame them, I think we all flaunt our shinies now and again when we have them, but others in the tower have a shiny Meowth and a shiny Seaking. And of course, over in the Alola region there is an NPC that will unlock, and his only Pokémon is a shiny Execute. which isn't a super tough battle, but he will give you 6 nuggets afterwards to signify his 6 golden eggs. Touches like this are brilliant, and that nearly makes up for them taunting me with this static shiny that I can never actually have. So there's not that many overall, mostly events that you can't get anymore, but it is worth knowing that these Pokemon are out there if you want to start your shiny hunting collection, and hopefully we'll get to see more of them in the future. Which shiny Pokemon do you wish were always there? Let me know down in the comments. Also be sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe so that you too can become an Imperial today. And until next time, stay grounded.